I'm Mike Hebert, owner of Cantex Roofing and Construction. Every day is game day, and we'll get it right when it comes to your roofing, construction, windows, and mirrors. Call Cantex Roofing and Construction today. Together, we are one serving you.
It's every Red Raiders' favorite podcast. This is the Tech Talk Podcast from Double T 97.3, presented by Cantex Roofing and Construction.
Happy Friday to you. Thanks for joining us here on Tech Talk. You got us on Double T 97.3. Clint, Gus, and Kyler going up to 6 o'clock. Hit us up on the Yates Flooring Center chat line. Already texts coming in. Keep those up as we go along with the program. You can join us live there. Thoughts, comments, questions, predictions, anything like that. Let's grab a question from there. Tech Talk.
Yes?
What are the keys to victory tomorrow without Skyler Gill-Howard?
Well, I think we are better than this team. I think keeping control of Tyson, and that's not to say he won't catch 9 passes for 115 yards, which I hope it's not even that. But I think controlling Tyson, who, again, if you haven't followed this story this week, he's probably going to be the first receiver taken in the draft this coming spring. So second year in a row.
Excuse me, you choked me up with that.
Yeah,
fact.
Second year in a row we've dealt with that. Last year it was Tetaroa McMillan on the road. This year it's Tyson, but it just feels like that's a big part of it because they've been okay outside of that, but they don't seem to get the juice from that they got from Scattaboo last year from this year's career. And that's not to say it's not a good group of players. They're also missing an offensive lineman. We don't know what their depth is like.
How about a center getting his first start against this defensive line?
That's beautiful. I mean,
yeah, I was going to say brutal,
well,
but beautiful for
us.
you.
Yes.
Yeah.
Can our defense just keep doing what they're doing? But I'm drilling down a little bit for the benefit of the texture. I think controlling Tyson and him not having, 3 touchdowns and, 2 chunk plays and that kind of stuff. And I don't know if it's as simple as, man under, there's going to be a safety over top of him everywhere he goes because we feel like we can control everything else with the rest of these guys. It could be. I mean, there could be an element of that. You know what? You and I talked about this earlier this week. What if Clint, earlier we talked about the Utah offensive line and the film that we may see from those dudes when they're drafted in the first round, or especially the one. And here he is against David Bailey, and maybe Bailey's a second-round pick. I don't know. Maybe Bailey's a first-round pick. Who knows? And their footage is those two going at it because it's like a premium matchup. What if this is Pollock's chance to go, hey, here he is against Tyson? Making plays, shutting him down, whatever it is. Who knows? We'll see.
Do you know how many 100-yard receivers you've allowed in 6 games?
Not many. Yeah, really good.
Big fat
0.
goose egg. The closest to it was in this last game, Cam Pickett, and he got 82 yards. 82 yards is the highest you've given up from an individual receiver.
You sure a guy from Kent State didn't?
Let me fact check.
I thought Kent State had a dude.
I know he wasn't in the one. I know he wasn't in the hundreds.
Okay, all right.
That's
fine. We don't need to haggle over that. You're making your point.
Well, here's the thing. You've been really, really good in keeping down. Kent. The highest was 49 yards for a Kent State receiver.
I may be.
Yeah.
I may be confusing him with somebody.
Anyways, you have just dominated in so many ways defensively, and part of this, it's like the when we talk about coverage sacks. Well, you have pass rush, cornerback help, whatever the term for that is. Your pass rush has been really good, and so even some of the best receivers that you've seen this year. And I think Kansas brought the most talent, but even then, their best guy, Emmanuel Henderson, basically had a nothing burger in that game. It wasn't even him who was like their leader. It was Cam Pickett, who's had a good year too, but Emmanuel Henderson had 3 catches for 42 yards in that game. Just completely took him out of it. And I think your secondary, even like where were your breakdowns against Kansas? Well, Coach McGuire told you exactly what it was. Your linebackers had a couple of plays there where they were the ones that were out of balance coverage-wise, but your secondary has almost been spotless this year.
Right.
It
was linebacker star last week in those 2 TD plays.
And I say that because, to me, Gus, it really is. Like, they have Shimon Mateer at tight end, who is solid, but he's not like a go-to guy for them. He's hanging around 160 yards this season. I think the second biggest threat past Tyson, even in the passing game, is Raleek Brown, because I just think they're going to try to find ways to get their running back the ball. But it is Jordan Tyson, and so I would be surprised if you're not throwing the book at him to make sure that he's not the one who beats you, and then you're just going to trust your pass rush and you're going to trust your front to take the run out of the equation. And whenever Levitt is, trying to do Levitt-like things, you're so good with your rush lane and also just how, just aggressive you've been. It's kind of like, like World War Z. Remember the zombies that are like running over the wall? That's what your defensive line looks like when you have, even if the first guy doesn't get there, the second and third guy finish off the play. That's what is really tough to deal with, even if you're a mobile quarterback. And without Skyler Gill-Howard in there, I mean, he's a terrific defensive lineman. He's been great for you. So I don't want people to think that I'm not saying like, oh, it doesn't make a difference at all without him. But I think the expectation is the same with these guys. Too. So I do think the keys, personally, I don't think the keys to the game change with or without Skyler Gill-Howard.
Because I think the gap from him to A.J. Holmes isn't this ridiculous level. I mean, Holmes is going to play some more snaps, but Holmes was already playing a bunch of snaps. I think it probably means more for Duda Banks and Cofield and those dudes there as their snap total may bump up a few, but this isn't a radical realignment.
If anything, for Holmes, it's like he's getting more snaps just with a different unit.
Sure. Yeah, absolutely. And he'll start the game, and, again, maybe it's 30 snaps instead of 22.
Yeah.
I don't know. Instead of 17. I think Tyson's a big key, unless for some reason these guys can run it against us at a level much more than anything we've really seen this year. I mean, the defense has been so good that it gives the rest of the game, specifically, can we avoid, it's kind of a similar vein to what I said last week. Can we avoid catastrophe? You're not giving up a kick return and fumble on a punt. That kind of, you're not giving up some onside kick thing or some wonky. Couple of extra
don't
possessions.
Do things to beat yourself,
yes.
Which you've done that in a couple of road games, but it hasn't affected the outcome.
Not in a repeat itself kind of way. It'll be interesting because I imagine that we will get to see the silent count thing in full effect.
Yeah,
because they've obviously played a road game since the Utah game, but it was at Houston, and starting quarterback said it really wasn't that loud. So there could be some of those elements that'll be interesting to look at, but hopefully just take care of business.
I have an Arizona State crowd thought from a Dillingham comment I saw today. Next, keep hanging out with us here on Double T 97.3.
The podcast that finishes your workday in a very Red Raider way. This is the Tech Talk Podcast from Double T 97.3, presented by Cantex Roofing and Construction.
It is Tech Talk on Double T 97.3, hour number 2 of 3, as we go up to 6 o'clock here in Double T 97.3. Clint Scott, Dr. Mike Gustafson, DJ Puddin, Kyler Brown, pumping out the tracks behind the glass. You can hit us up on the Yates Flooring Center chat line. We'll get some more thoughts there here in just a moment. You can also call us on the Visual Edge IT hotline, 806-771-0973. Gus, I did want to mention this. Someone had put out from the Arizona State side just in a casual, I don't think it was supposed to be the main part of the quote, but it was from Kenny Dillingham, like, hey, it's almost sold out on Saturday. And I went, that's interesting. I think the crowd will be good. I think you're going into a good environment. I said this yesterday.
You wound up.
I don't think Arizona State has like what Utah has. I think it's better than what Houston has.
Right.
But just from that side of the conversation, I thought that was interesting because I just, I think the crowds I've seen there before when I've watched games have all been fun, but I couldn't have told you what was and what wasn't sold out. Even like this year, like watching the Texas State game that they played there in Tempe. But interesting.
Yep.
Little side thing.
Yep.
This on the Yates Flooring Center chat line. Mike said CBS put out an article saying Skyler Gill-Howard is out for the season. Is this true?
Yeah. He definitely had surgery yesterday. Mm-hmm. And I think there's all sorts of thoughts about how long he's out. One opinion says hopeful he may be back for the postseason. Hopefully that means, that would mean at least a 7-week hiatus. 7 weeks from now is Big 12 championship.
Yeah.
2 weeks after that would be the first round of the college football playoffs, if we'll allow ourselves to dream a little bit. So maybe that's where their head is, but we don't know that. We don't know the timing on that.
Yeah. Bruce Feldman is saying he would be back for the playoffs. Should we make them? Yeah, just about everybody has said they're like, and I say this because there's a little bit of differing on how firm out for the regular season was, and then the main thing was everyone saying, like you said, not ruling them out for the postseason. They didn't say like for sure back for the postseason. They didn't even say timetable. Of course, that part's early. I'm sure we'll get more next week after they've played this game. I'm sure there'll be plenty of questions at Coach McGuire's media availability about it, but that's where we are right now. This on the Yates Flooring Center chat line. The new tortilla fine is dumb. The whole rule is dumb, but it's time to stop throwing the tortillas to not derail this potentially legendary season for Tech. I agree with Rob Bro. Maybe we can get the Big 12 to reconsider next season.
Yep, I agree.
It's like, yeah, like it or not, you're at a hard, you're at a firm rule of how they're going to crack down on this. And the other thing, like Don Williams had this last night when we were getting more. If you haven't seen, the new rule is, hey, now you just get one warning, and it's anything that is on the sideline, not just on the field. If it leaves the stands, it's a 15-yard penalty and a $100,000 fine. They did say that's for everybody in the Big 12, but like we all know what it's around, right? Mm-hmm. It's around the Jones, and agree that it is dumb. It's gotten out of hand. The whole reason that the Big 12 and your mark is reacting in the way that they are now is because it's become a black eye sort of story on the conference, and they're just trying to do everything they can to make it not that way. But in my opinion, the way it's being handled, they are making it even worse, because we all know, whether you agree or not, you have a fan base that is very reactionary here, very loud, very present. And so it's going to make, it's going to make it worse. But yeah, if you are, and I've seen this a lot, if you're in the mindset of, oh, they can't tell me what to do. Okay, well, you're about to hurt the team.
All right.
Like you're about to hurt a team that is trying to do things and take you places that Tech has never been.
We haven't, and we haven't heard the 1/10 of the messaging we're about to hear on this, because this was not a week leading into a home game, but this coming Monday will start. And I've been all for it. I mean, in terms of throw the tortillas once and then we're done, but we can't have nice things. So I'm not the old guy here screaming about, I never thought we should have had them in the first place. Okay, whatever. So I'm not coming at it from this angle, but I am thinking like we need to, just put it under wraps and throw them once or whatever. Throw them backwards if you need to. Keep them away from the field, like no playing surface. I mean, that's the key. This isn't in between the boundaries of the end zone and the field. This is basically anything out of the seating area, right? Anything down lower level there. I don't like the fact that I say all that, and the other side of me is like, I don't like the fact that Joey's having to spend 1 second on this crap.
Yeah, I hate that in his opening statement before they ask a question, I would put a 90% chance that it's going to be addressed there and he's 100%. Not going to wait for a question.
And there could be TV commercials and web deal. Who knows?
Yeah.
But the other part is, it's like, hey, the messaging and then the other part of that is you get, we become a laughing stock of, hey, there they are again, unhinged. Mm-hmm. I don't know who Jody Slaughter is. I don't even know if that's a real person. I think it is. But he had a great thread about all of this and the knife thing and the whole deal. And he was like, I think Texas Tech, fans are a little reactionary. Here's why. And he went through a history of it going back into the early 2000s when the Aggie punches the other Aggie and it somehow gets blamed on us. All of it, and it was fantastic. He even had links to it. Whoever you are, fantastic work.
Yeah.
And it wasn't just that, but he went through, there was probably 6 different incidents where it's just like, I had batteries whizzing by my head. Oh, you don't, no, you didn't. Shut up. It's just, the amount of dumb bleeping stuff we've had to deal with over the years.
I think as a fan base, yes, you should absolutely be mad, annoyed, whatever you feel about this whole situation and how we got here. 100%. But take it out by being as hostile of a crowd as possible without breaking a rule now. That is a rule. Yep. And nobody likes it. There's other teams in the Big 12, they're like, yeah, that's a stupid rule. But it's there. Don't cost the team.
What he said.
It's Tech Talk on Double T 97.3.
The podcast put together with Red Raider fans in mind. This is the Tech Talk Podcast from Double T 97.3. Presented by Cantex Roofing and Construction.
It is Tech Talk on Double T 97.3, DoubleTSportsNetwork.com, the Double T 97.3 mobile app brought to you by Happy State Bank. Clint Scott, Dr. Mike Gustafson, Kyler behind the glass taking care of us. We'll go up to 6 o'clock. Keep hitting us up on the Yates Flooring Center chat line. Shelly asked, is Clint late from the break room again? Were there donuts? No, I did check.
Was there any?
There was earlier.
There was some cake down there earlier this week.
There was today. This is where it's like our office. If you are like trying to be health conscious, be smart with what you eat. You have a dietitian in the family. Follow some of those dietitian rules. This is not the office for it. Today, there were 2 boxes from different places. You had your choice of donuts in there.
Really? You know what? Friday is a good day for that kind of stuff.
Yes, good donut day.
People letting their guard down. Yeah, that's good. Any chance there's still any left in there, or did you eat half a box?
I actually didn't. I was good. Yes, I was good.
I saw the pudding in there chowing. He was chomping on something earlier.
That was my lunch.
Yeah, man.
Not donuts.
Yeah, man. I knew it was your lunch. I got you. Anything from here on out, though, I can't help. So.
I can't vouch for you.
Fair enough.
Kyler does have a play of the day for us. Take it away, sir.
Plenty of space. Slipped in by Skrzyncki. Top of the box. Brilliant. Texas Tech at it. A peach of a hit to the upper corner. And with 5 minutes to go, Texas Tech may have just done enough to weather this Sun Devil storm.
Let's go.
Turned into a nail-biter yesterday. The Red Raider soccer team was victorious, though, over Arizona State and Tempe, 3-2. They look to Tucson as they will face Arizona, the Wildcats. Go Red Raiders.
That's big. Little one of those NBA trips like we talked about last year where the basketball team went to Utah and played 2 games. That's what soccer's doing. They've done this before. Go out there and play Arizona, then Arizona State. And, just they need to keep getting wins. W's, not ties. And because they're still ahead of they're still ahead of the pack, leading the Big 12. They've got the win over Baylor in any sort of tiebreaker event, although I think that would just be the co-champs kind of thing.
Yeah.
And that's a great resume win, too. But
No doubt.
yeah, when we talked about it earlier, that soccer team was, some of the earliest projections. And again, don't know exactly the sourcing on this, but it was, it looked like it was pulled straight from the RPIs because we had a win over Baylor. We were ahead of them in the standings, but Baylor was hosting and we weren't. We're not. Same with TCU. And we had a tie over TCU. Or tie with TCU. So, our head-to-head on both of those teams is good. And so, hopefully we all get to host and yay Big 12. But the Red Raiders would love to not only win that Big 12 championship, but then get to host. And I'll say this. That's fun stuff. And that would be, Clint, I looked this up on the calendar.
We've had live shows from out there before.
Yes. If we, Clint, that would be the, my guess is the Thursday because there's a men's basketball home game, but this is on the week leading into the UCF football game. Because I think right now as it's set up, there's a Friday men's basketball game. Friday night, and then the football game on Saturday. Or, Clint, I think they give you this window of time. You like Thursday to Sunday to play the game. How about a little Sunday afternoon action out there after that deal would be good. Yeah. Like a clear, and what I mean by that is just a clear sports, like here's the window so soccer gets all the attention and all the love.
Yeah.
But yeah,
which I think everybody over there would want.
Yeah,
including the other sports.
I think so too. If the football team was out of town, maybe the Friday night deal's the way to go. And maybe that would be their preference, but I don't know that they would schedule that on top of a home basketball game just for obvious reasons. You're fighting for crowds and high school football and whatnot. Who knows? Maybe they'd move soccer to Thursday night.
Lots of options.
But yeah,
they should ask us when the time comes.
Yeah, absolutely. Consult with us. I'm just telling you that I looked at the
Tech Talk consulting firm.
I looked at the schedule.
We only talk about scheduling for soccer playoffs.
Because I wasn't sure if that was on the week leading into the BYU football game, but that's actually the Big 12 championship game would be that weekend, so the tournament. And so then the NCAA opening round is that week of the UCF football game. So, yeah, good stuff, and happy for that team. And that whole thing is, the better they get, or I don't say the better. I don't know that I could follow them much closer than I do now, but I think this is one of those examples of ESPN Plus and all that just bringing me in more as a fan. Because this used to totally be get on the website the next morning and see how we did.
Mm-hmm. Sure.
And that wasn't that long ago. And now we can watch all of these games. You can say the same thing about basketball, a lot of volleyball,
what about
softball,
track and field?
Yes. Yeah. I mean, yeah, it's you talk about something that's changed in my life, but we lived in Oklahoma City, Clint, and I either had to long distance call home and go, "Hey, how did Tech do today?" And this is in the mid-90s, or get up the next day and get the sports page.
It was crazy when you called.
And I lived in Oklahoma City.
You called and asked that, the answer was always, "Sir, this is a Papa John's."
Exactly. This is a 1-900 number. That's not what we're here for. We're here to make you happy in other ways.
Oh, man, my bad. Can I get some garlic knots? This on the Yates Flooring Center chat line. My nerves are starting to kick in for this game, not because I don't think we can or will win, just because I've been nervous for every game, knowing what's at stake for this season. I want this team to keep winning so bad.
You got that right.
Yeah.
That's exactly right. And it's the 100%. 100% for all those reasons. And it feels, I said this, and this is probably hokey and over the top, but I said the other day, or maybe last week, I said it feels like the high school playoffs. Where you have to win to advance, and I'm being a little dramatic as I say that, but I think it certainly has that feel because you don't want some wonky tiebreaker thing to keep us out of that game in Arlington, right? Mm-hmm. Because without that game in Arlington, I don't know that a Big 12 team is advancing. Maybe if Texas Tech goes in there at 12-0 and gets upset in the thing, maybe we would still get in that large bid. I don't want to find out. I don't want to test that, whatever. Yeah. But I feel like this year, just to the point of the texture, this year we're good enough that it's not a smoke and mirrors deal. We're good enough that we needed to take care of business and do this thing, run the dang table. And it's not outlandish to say that. It's not like, well, we're going to need 7 lucky games in a row to make this all happen. No.
Yeah.
We're better than everyone on the schedule. Just take care of business.
I don't want to test it either, but if you went 12-0 and then lost in Arlington, like where you would start, you would be in a better spot than what SMU was last year, who made it. So I'd still, again, with you, don't want to test it, don't want to find that out, but I think you would be in the like high 80% chance to be in the field. I would put you at a like 7% chance of hosting.
Right.
But yeah, if you went 12-0, because what? I mean, you're working your way up somewhere in the top 5 going into that conference game. I mean, in that conference championship at that point. Now I want to find that part out, but not the loss and test bet afterwards. Let's not do that.
No.
Yeah. It is Tech Talk on Double T 97.3. Back with more next.
It's every Red Raiders' favorite podcast. This is the Tech Talk Podcast from Double T 97.3. Presented by Cantex Roofing and Construction.
It is Tech Talk on Double T 97.3, DoubleTSportsNetwork.com, and the Double T 97.3 mobile app, which is brought to you by our friends at Happy State Bank. Clint, Gus, and Kyler will tell you what's going on in 15 minutes from now. At the 5 o'clock hour, we'll have all of our normal shenanigans. We'll give you another round of the juice. We'll have Ask Tech Talk to end the program. Let's go back to the Yates Flooring Center chat line. Thomas said, "Go green, go white." Michigan State football hasn't been that good since 2021, sadly. Shelley said, "Can't even imagine what Harris would do calling a playoff win." He might like bust a vein.
Well,
a guttural reaction.
I mean,
it'd be great.
It just us beating somebody 40-28, or is it walk off? Something as insanely dramatic as that thing we just listened to. They might all pop a vein there.
Yeah, I will. I
mean,
too.
we've got close. It's a drop on the hotkey in there of what's his name screaming.
Yeah,
isn't it? Mm-hmm. After the 63-yard field goal, the Jensen. Yeah. I think he's the Jensen. I mean, John popping a vein, but I don't know what Jensen's doing.
I think they both would.
Yeah,
because he's the woo. Jensen's the woo.
His is like a scream, like a shriek of happiness.
Ooh, shriek of happiness, horse name.
That is well
right
done.
There.
Or a weed strain, Clint. Shriek of happiness.
Why not both?
Come on.
Every time I've tuned into 97.3 or 100.7 today, I've been hearing so much tortilla talk. Can we talk about the game coming up tomorrow? Let's focus on our team and not the fans for a little bit. You did tune in at a bad spot because that was the first we brought it up, but I understand. And that's, again, this is the last thing I will say about it. You can keep it in some of the chat line, but again, it goes back to it is so annoying that it has been unavoidable all week. And I'm not saying annoyed at the fans or anything like that, but just the whole situation.
It's the news, man. Mm-hmm. It's absolutely the news. They're not, when you see people, beat writers writing up what's going on around the Big 12 deal, it's not, well, look at that defensive line play. Mm-hmm. It's tortillas and pocket knives. The tortillas probably graduated to pocket knife and then back to tortillas, and here we are. But, yeah, I'm with you. I love what Joey says to the players about, if you get a celebration penalty or whatever, it's crimes against the family. You may have done something good, but it's a crime against the family. It's kind of that, and we're all part of the deal now. So that we'll get tired of hearing about that, but that's going to be next week's messaging.
Yeah,
get ready for that.
Yeah, buckle up.
Yep, buckle up.
Focusing back in on this game. So Rob and I, what we like to do with Red Raider Recon, so we like to do a player on each side of the ball. We alternate who has Tech and who has the opponent. I had the Red Raiders this week, and defensively, we've already talked about them. I felt like the easy pick was A.J. Holmes, just with his snap count either going out or just changing how it's approached rotation-wise. And really, you could focus in on the entire defensive front because if you're looking at them trying to get Raleek Brown going in the run game, Sam Levitt, whatever they're trying to do and whatever his health percentage is at, and then also trying to set up big plays for Jordan Tyson. It's all ruined if you wreck it the way that you have with your front all season long. But if you go offensively, who would be your player to watch? And I'll tell you mine after.
On our defensive front?
Offense. If you go to the offensive side of the ball for the Red Raiders, what player would you say is one to watch?
Goodness. I usually just think about O-line as the group instead of an individual. Mercy, I've been impressed by.
Because I think there's lots of good options on the offense that you can go
I think they're
a bunch
coming
of different
off
ways.
I think their play has trended up, and just as a group, and that's penalties aside. I'm just saying, after what they did last week, I don't know. I'd have to know more about what the Sun Devils present, because this is the team with the second most sacks in the league. Obviously, the Red Raiders are first. So I don't know. It would have to be one of the tackles for me. But go ahead.
No, we're in the same mindset. I went Howard Sampson.
There we go.
Because we've done a lot of weapons this year, and you're coming off a game where your running game was tremendous. Specifically, Cam Dickey obviously had a top 5 all-time rushing day for you. But to what you pointed at, and I think for the most part he's going to be going up against Clayton Smith, but they rotate guys on that front. They're going to send their linebacker, Keyshawn Elliott, who is tied with Clayton Smith with 4 sacks each. I think Elliott is the best player on that defense. Certainly best player available. Again, I think if Xavier Alford was in the rotation, he would have a claim to that title, but obviously he's still injured. But they've just got a bunch of guys that have gotten in the mix with 19 sacks this season. And the reason I focus in on Howard Sampson, you also look at some of the big runs that you had with Dickey, but also with Hammond.
Right,
If it's Hammond or Morton, either way, the offensive line with the pass rush needs to have a big day. But you ran it a lot to the left, behind the big guys on the left. And so if you're trying to set up the run, I think he needs to have a big game with that too. But also, this is the first time that we'll see him. Not the first time. This is our chance to see him back on the road specifically. And like you said, I thought as a whole, they cleaned up a lot of things penalty-wise in that home game against Kansas. But do you break down and go, do you reverse back to what you were doing against Utah and Houston with some of those penalties? Or have you taken a step forward and it wasn't just, you were in a more comfortable environment because you were at home? And unfortunately, I think a lot of people look at him first for that, even though it hasn't all been him with pre-snap penalties.
No, because he had a hold. He had a hold in the Utah game, but he definitely had a hold last week, and it was the one that set up the play in which Morton was rolled up on and re-aggravated the initial injury. I mean, when you hear the staff talk about him, they talk about how he's played well, and that's not a mid. I mean, and that is a mid of a bunch of penalties, right? Hopefully. This team has been able to impose their will in many ways at many points along the way offensively. We're going to go run the ball, and you go run the ball. Like we haven't had a game where we just couldn't do something.
Yeah.
Some days have been better. We really couldn't throw the ball well the other day. Certainly not once Barron left. So that'll be a challenge this weekend.
It is Tech Talk on Double T 97.3. We'll tell you what's going on next.
The podcast put together with Red Raider fans in mind. This is the Tech Talk Podcast from Double T 97.3. Presented by Cantex Roofing and Construction.
It is Tech Talk on Double T 97.3, DoubleTSportsNetwork.com, the Double T 97.3 mobile app, brought to you by Happy State Bank, Clint, Gus, and Kyler. In 15 minutes from now, it'll be Ask Tech Talk. Give us your questions for that on the Yates Flooring Center chat line. Questions like this from T-Bone. Hey guys, who do you think will win the Holy War? It seems to me that Utah's defense will win this one.
That was my pick. Utah. I think they're favored by 3 or 4?
3.5. Yeah. I picked BYU to win this one.
That's right.
But of all the picks we did, this is the one that I have felt the worst about. I was going back and forth because I just keep looking at BYU in a similar way with how I felt about TCU when they would make eventually make a run to the national championship, where at least for 6 weeks, I kept on going, someone's going to beat BYU. Like, they've got a freshman quarterback. I think that their offense looks really ugly, and they just keep finding ways to win games. And then even like the defense, which I think it is the better unit, still gave up 27 points to Arizona, so it's not like it's a dominant unit or anything like that. And even then, Arizona, they had them, right? The Wildcats had them up by 10 in the fourth quarter, and then you find a way to win, right? That's what you were talking about earlier. Just find a way to win. And so it's like I think Utah has been the more impressive team, but I like that this one, it's at BYU. I do think the rivalry adds some weirdness. I have no idea what's going to happen, though. I will say I would be surprised if whoever won it was a blowout either way.
Yeah, I think it could be a defensive game.
Yeah.
Played in the teens, 20s. Wasn't this the game last year after which the Utah athletic director said he wished they weren't in the Big 12? I think BYU beat them, and then he had.
Well, they did beat them. It was ugly. It was 22-21 at Utah.
And this Clint, this is.
I guess I could say this reminds me of BYU for last year, because when they got to 9-0, I kept on saying they're going to lose a game at some point. They're not that good.
Hey, this is one of these games that has always been like a heated rivalry, right?
Mm-hmm.
And now you sprinkle a little. What does Rob Bro like to say? He likes to zhuzh up his hummus with.
He likes to zhuzh up his hummus.
With
it's something he said.
Or paprika or something like that. Yeah, but like to sprinkle a little red pepper.
Perhaps
like you
a
get on
coriander.
a slice of pizza. You know, like the red pepper.
Yeah.
Go that route. Oh, hey, now I know you guys hate each other, and you still hate each other, and you've always hated each other, but now there's a conference win hanging on this bad boy.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it just cranks up the heat a little bit more.
And
so good.
And for BYU, it's not accurate to say, well, they're unproven because they've played 3 conference games and they have 3 conference wins. But I do think it's about to ramp up in a way that it's not for Utah. Because, I mean, you have Utah this week, so there's tough game number 1. They're at Iowa State, which I don't know what to think of Iowa State right now, but still you're going to Ames for that one. And then you're here in Lubbock for the next game after that, home against TCU, and then at Cincinnati, who's been on fire. And then they'll end with UCF. But that stretch is not easy, and so it's like they've gotten to this point unscathed on the record. They're right there in the hunt, but I could absolutely see them, quote unquote, falling apart. And by that I mean like 3 losses or something like that, right?
Sure.
And get knocked out of the race and still have a 9-3 record.
Sure.
But if they beat Utah, whether it's at home or not, I mean, at that point I think it would be a disappointment for them if they went up to Ames and lost. Great point.
Yeah, the Utah thing, I mean, just in terms of the way we would view those 2 teams right now, whenever Utah would have a higher rate of difficulty than Iowa State. Might not have said that 3 weeks ago, but as it's sort of shaped up here, I mean, we're going to, what's the emotion factor, if any, that potential retiring Utah head football coach gins up?
Yeah.
Could there be any of that? Who, by the way, played at BYU.
Yeah.
And now coaches at the hated rival and has ginned up all sorts of hate.
Angel has this question: do we need Utah to win? I'm rooting for BYU in this game. I want an undefeated BYU in Lubbock.
Yeah, and
I think
what Clint's getting at is the possibility of game day and that sort of thing. He thinks it, and could very well be correct, that if that's an undefeated BYU team coming in here, that's a.
I also think it's good for the Big 12 because at that point, if BYU,
that's a November football game between 2 undefeateds.
They're 15 right now in the rankings. If they beat Utah, That's going to give them some sort of vault, obviously headed in the right direction. And then if they win in Ames, obviously it's going to, it's not going to have them move. I'll tell you that. It's not going to have them move backwards. And so you're sniffing a top 10 matchup at that point, Gus? Sign me up.
Yeah.
Sign me up.
I'm with you.
I think it's good that's also good for the Big 12 to have two teams hanging around the top 10. One firmly in the top 10 and then one, knocking on the door. But really, Gus, honestly, the way that I view this, I think it's a Big 12 championship elimination game. Even though if BYU lost it, it would only be one loss. But then to go from there to that just gauntlet, because I think you're going to beat them when they come here. And then I think there's a chance they could lose any of those other games. And for Utah, it's an elimination game because it would be their second. And then, Cincinnati just kind of quietly sitting over there, 5-1 overall, 3-1 in Big 12 play. They're in Stillwater. They should 100% win that game.
Whoa, hey.
And then after it, amongst the shirtless section. So you move on from that if you don't have just a catastrophe, a meltdown. And then if you're looking ahead for the Bearcats, they have a chance to really help their own cause or be hurt by another contender. So after that, it's home against Baylor. I would take Cincinnati in that game, but then they're at Utah. That's going to be a tough one.
Well, that
home against Arizona, totally a losable game, and then home against BYU at TCU.
Yeah, if Baylor beats TCU, that Cincinnati game could have a little bit of spice to it.
Blue Bonnet Battle is still the worst rebrand of all time.
I know. They
went from an awesome nickname with the Revivalry to an arts and crafts project for a trophy.
I know. I know how you feel on that topic.
As Shorzy would say, so dumb. It's Tech Talk on Double T 97.3.
This has been the Tech Talk Podcast, presented by Cantex Roofing and Construction. Check out our library of Double T 97.3 podcasts at doublet97.3.com.